Welcome to the Hustlers podcast. I'm Jai Desai and I bring you stories of immigrant entrepreneurs. Let's dive in.
Once you land here, you're on your own. Although I was well educated and I had an amazing career back in India, it took me a really long time to land my first job in the States. They make it sound easy. And I wanted to show the reality. At least 90% people for sure are only doing online applications, and LinkedIn networking is getting pretty saturated. I think human psychology is if you help someone, they will want to return the favor. I spoke to over 200 people over the phone in a year, and these were all immigrant women who were in the job seeking phase. I don't have the confidence to order for food at a restaurant, or I don't know what to order when I go to Starbucks for coffee. Things like, Anjali, I don't know how to make friends here. Like, I don't know where to find my people and how to talk to them. Like, it's so tricky. And there was also things like, I don't have the confidence to speak to someone. Like, forget networking, I don't have the confidence to make eye contact and tell people who am I.
What are some tips for integrating with US culture as an immigrant? This is a great episode for any new or soon to be immigrant. As I sit down with Anjali Nair, who is the founder of the Immigrant Academy. Anjali helps immigrants settle into a new country, whether it's finding a job, making friends, or integrating with the local culture. Tune in as Anjali shares her own immigrant experience, the cultural shocks she faced, and offers tips on networking and using modern job search strategies. As you may have noticed, every time you're looking for a job, the market is different and the old strategy doesn't apply anymore. Let's hear more from her directly. Hi, Anjali. Thank you for joining me on the Hustlers podcast. Welcome. Can you introduce yourself for our audience?
Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Anjali Nair. I am the founder of the Immigrant Academy, and by profession, in my 9 to 5, I am a marketing manager. I've been in this field for close to 10 years now. I live in Tampa Bay in Florida, the Sunshine State. I am originally from Mumbai, and this is my 7th year in the US. I'm also a new mom, so I am navigating my life as a new mom, as a business owner, and as a 9 to 5 professional. So there's a lot going on in my life, but yeah, I'm excited to dive in and walk you through my journey.
But yeah, indeed, there's a lot going on. I am curious about the post 9 to 5 life. Of course, the baby is the new mom, but the Immigrant Academy, how did you come up with it? What is it about?
So the Immigrant Academy was born because of personal experience that I had in the States. So 7 years ago when I moved, there was very little information that was shared on the internet or on the social media or in person on what to do after you move to the US. Like, there is so much information out there about immigration, visa processes, regulations. But once you land here, you're on your own. If you know anyone here, great. They may or may not help you. If not, all the best. Figure everything out by yourself, because you did not you were not born here, you didn't go to school here, neither did you go to college or like a university here. And I was one of those people who moved here, as just 25 years old, a new bride, and I'm coming here with these dreams of, oh, I'm going to start my life here in the States or restart my life. The only thing that made me confident is I can speak the language English and I don't have to learn a foreign language. Other than that, I literally had no idea what was in store for me. And a lot of people like myself moved to the States in very similar situations. My biggest beef with my immigrant story is, although I was well educated and I had an amazing career back in India, it took me a really long time to land my first job in the States. And I kept wondering why this is happening to me. And, over time, through trial and error, through a lot of failures, I finally landed my first job in marketing. So I am from a non-STEM, non-tech field, and I'm one of those few people who was stubborn enough to stick to their guns and did not want to switch their fields by learning a new tech that I was not interested in. So long story short, it took me a long time to crack the code and understand how things work here. And once I did, I was really surprised to see nobody really shares on how to navigate the job market, let alone restarting your life in the States. And it really boggled me because I would search on the internet, I would ask people these questions, but everyone's very hush hush about this, right? They're like, oh, everything's good now. You see the success
They make
story.
it sound easy.
They make it sound easy. And I wanted to show the reality. Right. So the Immigrant Academy was born by documenting my journey, by sharing blogs on, various topics on what to expect when you move to the US. And I was really speaking to immigrant women because this is a category of people who come here often after getting married, and that community is often overlooked. And fortunately, I found my community, they found me thanks to Instagram and Facebook. And that's how you see the Immigrant Academy today. It was born from a personal experience that happened, and it took different turns along the way. And today it is mentoring and a career development platform for skilled immigrants in the United States.
Even you are making your journey sound easy, but I want to put some numbers out there from the research that I got, that what you applied for 250 jobs when you moved here before you landed your first job. Is that right?
It is right. And this is back in 2017. So this number right now, it sounds really small because people are applying to 1,000 plus jobs and still not.
But how did you survive that phase?
So honestly, nothing and nobody can prepare you for the job search phase. Yes, it'll take time. Yes, you'll get rejections, but what you feel internally and what goes on inside you is something so vulnerable, right? Like it's a point where you kind of question everything. Like, am I worth it? Am I good enough? Is my English sounding good? I don't remember the answers. My resume looks really bad. I don't know anyone here, right? Like there are all these things that goes on inside you. And additionally, you have enough number of people there to kind of deviate you, tell you that, oh, don't do this, change your path, talk to this person, study more, do one more certification. And all of this is a lot of noise that I actually was hearing to some of them, but then eventually had to cut off all the noise and kind of just focus on what I'm doing. Yes, there were online applications. There was an Excel sheet where I was tracking every application, following up, reaching out to recruiters, being on LinkedIn like all day. I literally spent 8 hours a day just on job search. So that was my job. But I think when I slowly started figuring out how to stand out or how do I do things differently, which will get me noticed and which will also show that I can do this. I'm not just saying I can do it, I can actually do it and I can show you the proof and the results. And I think the turning point was me just going out there and meeting people. Networking was the way to go for me. Although I'm in marketing, I'm not someone who loves speaking about herself, right? I'm not my own hype woman, unfortunately. And for me to learn how to do that and not feel ashamed about bragging was a big deal. But clearly that was needed, and I needed one yes. Out of those 247 applications I made, I needed that one yes, and that one yes happened without an online application. And this light bulb moment for me was, imagine everyone is going through this and no one's freaking telling you that there are other ways to land a job than just online applications. And I wanted to share all the knowledge that I had gained over time. Every time I landed a new job in the States, there was something new. The job market was different again. I had to test out other strategies, and as they were working, I continued to teach. I continued to mentor people who were in a similar boat, and I helped them navigate the job market and really understand what it takes to enter corporate America.
You bring up a lot of interesting points, but few things that I really want to touch upon is, networking. Even today, would you say 90, 95, 99% people just do online applications? Is that true?
It's true.
Correct.
At least 90% people for sure are only doing online applications.
And I guess there is a reason for that, right? One, it's very easy. Two, people are scared to go out and promote themselves, like you said. How do you do networking today? How do you approach networking?
So I'll tell you how I did it before and how I would do it today. So before, pre-COVID, there were actual networking events that would happen right around you. There were in-person events happening a lot. There were specific events that were happening where, you can go and like tell people that, hey, I am so and so person, I am looking for a change or I'm open to opportunities, and they will connect you. But post COVID, there was a time where the market was in favor of the job seekers, and now as of 2023 to 2024, the market is back in the hands of the employers. So in this market, networking looks a lot different. Where I don't even use the word networking, I would say go and meet people in a place where they're not professionals, they're just themselves, and talk to them like you would talk to any other human being you would meet for the first time. Casual, personal, and rapport building. That's it. We're literally forming a genuine connection, and we continue to build on that connection. And at some point, if you feel that this person can either introduce you to someone, connect you to someone, or refer you at their workplace, because by then you've built that connection with them.
You would still track them in the sense you know about them already a lot before you go and meet them in a non-work setting. That's right, right?
Right. Like you may or may not know them. You may be meeting them for the first time. Or it's a random networking party or a networking event where you just go and start talking to this person. Sure, you exchange your LinkedIn contact or your business card or whatever, but you don't ask for something immediately, right? You spend time nurturing that relationship, because the best time to network is when you don't need something immediately. And that's my biggest advice for, students and job seekers both. You should network like from yesterday. You should start building connections, start meeting people right now, because that's your gateway, that's your entry to this whole new world that you don't.
Let's talk about post-COVID world, right? Because post-COVID, jobs have become remote, people have become remote, things have gone online. How do you network online?
Again, my strategy would be LinkedIn is not the only place to network. LinkedIn networking is getting pretty saturated. There are a lot more career coaches, a lot more LinkedIn influencers out there who are telling you what to do. And everyone's asking you to network, network, network on LinkedIn. So it's natural for people to bombard others with messages. I get a lot of messages on my LinkedIn inbox from people, and you can tell that it's a template, it's a copy paste. They've sent this to 50 other people. They've not even read about me. And they're very quick to ask in their first message, can you refer me? And this is basically like, you're knocking at the door of a stranger and you're saying, hey, can I get some water? Right? And like, what makes you think this person is going to open the door or respond to you or give you water, right? So same analogy. I think if you go to a place where everyone is going to, you should start looking at other places where you can build online connections. And there are several online platforms out there, not just LinkedIn. First tip would be to comment on someone's post that you want to connect with instead of sending them a message. People read and respond to comments faster than DMs. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is try to connect with people outside of LinkedIn. So look at Facebook groups or Instagram, broadcast channels. If you really want to form a relationship or a connection with someone, offer them help, see what happens next. Because I think human psychology is if you help someone, they will want to return the favor. That's my second tip. Try to help someone before you ask for something.
Great, great. Going back a little bit where you shared about after you landed your job, you wanted to share things with others on how to go about it, how to go about your journey. So you started blogging, you used Instagram and all of that, right? And that actually grew. Like, can you walk us through the phase of how did you grow your blog? Because you wrote, but like it's internet, right? There are millions and millions of articles, accounts, all that. So what helped you grow or connect with your audience?
So when I started, I had no plans of growing, scaling, reaching all these people, it was all very organic. It was from a place of I like to write, I want to share, and if somebody finds me, great. So there wasn't a strategy in place when I was starting out. Of course, once I saw that the right people are connecting with me and what I'm sharing is resonating and there is a demand for this knowledge and information, that's when I started being a little more strategic in terms of how I'm sharing things. So from long form blog content, I started sharing short form or like micro blogs on Instagram. People have always enjoyed reading my short form and long form blogs. I did not use Instagram from a photography or a creative perspective. I always started sharing, like what you see LinkedIn post today is basically what I did on Instagram even when I started 3-4 years ago. And slowly the community started building. There was word of mouth, there was referrals happening. And at that time, Instagram's algorithm was also designed in a way that through hashtags and through search terms, people were able to find me. I was also one of the first people to create this niche or create this industry of having something very specific for the skilled immigrant community. And that was also something that worked in my favor because there were a lot more people who were able to find me and resonate with me and were able to use my services. In terms of social media following, it's hard. It's very hard. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes quality. Right, so I was not posting for the sake of posting. I was only sharing things that I knew were relevant and will either inspire my community or they will learn something new from me. Those were the only two things that I was doing, and that's what I continue to do till date. Over time, the format in which I share has changed. So from microblogs, I have gone to short videos. I have done IG lives, I have done interviews, and then I also started creating digital products. I started creating mentoring services. So those are some things that happened over time. It all happened because I saw that this was the need and the demand by my community.
But was there like a viral moment for you in growing your community or following?
I think a few Instagram reels reached over 100,000 people at once, and I think that was kind of a turning point where a lot more people started finding me, and they also started referring me to others because somebody was finally speaking on this topic, and it was refreshing, and people were resonating with it. Yeah.
Were you already forming that thought of, okay, I'm growing, my story is reaching to a lot more people? Is that when you were forming the idea of this as a entrepreneurship venture? When did that come about?
I think even before I started creating videos, I had a vision in mind. I have a lot to share, but it was not very systematic. It was not very organized. And I wanted to do that. I am a very type A person, so I like to organize things. I like to share things in a certain way. And I love teaching. That's something that I discovered over time that I like to do. So even before the video started going viral, I was working behind the scenes on building this program which helps immigrant job seekers to understand the US job market, to understand what skills and competencies they need and what are some things that they need to do from their end that will help them prepare themselves even before they get their work permit, and they know exactly step by step what to do to navigate the job market and start getting interviews. So this is something that I was working on behind the scenes while I was building my community and serving them with free content, right? Free educational content, which helped me understand what are the problem areas that they have. And that's exactly what I was building in my course curriculum.
So yeah, and that's how social media works, right? Where you give a lot, you give, and then, once you build your audience and then you realize, okay, now I can build more value, and that's when you offer a paid course. How much time did it take? I know my research tells me that you went through a lot of research yourself on building this. How many people did you talk to? What kind of research did you do?
I spoke to over 200 people over the phone in a year, and these were all immigrant women who were in the job seeking phase. And that was my market research, to really understand if what I was going through, is that a hypothesis? Because I wanted to validate it with a lot more people. And it took me that 1 year. That 1 year, I think I mentored those 200 women free of charge, because I'm really looking to understand your problem areas and your pain points. And I'm trying to like refer back and see, did I go through this? Because if I did and it has not come up yet, it's because I've probably forgotten about it, or I felt like it was too small an issue to share. But it was not, right? Like there were things that came up which I thought I don't have to talk about. And there were very like minute details, like, I don't have the confidence to order for food at a restaurant, or I don't know what to order when I go to Starbucks for coffee. It's as simple as that, to, things like, Anjali, I don't know how to make friends here. Like, I don't know where to find my people and how to talk to them. Like, it's so tricky. And there was also things like, I don't have the confidence to speak to someone. Like, forget networking, I don't have the confidence to make eye contact and tell people who am I. So these were like little things that ignited a lot of ideas inside me, because it felt like there's so much to cover, and I was just getting started. I was just getting started with the job seeker community, but there were so many other people in so many different phases, and that's why the word Immigrant Academy, right? This is a place where you will get to learn, and this is not just for job seekers, it's for every stage of your immigrant life. And it's helpful that I am going through all of these stages first, learning and then teaching. So it's definitely slower as compared to any other business or startup that you see, but I like it. I like it this way. It's at a pace in which makes me comfortable. It works for me and my family, and I'm able to do this, which gives me joy, and I don't feel rushed.
200 women, did you find them or did they find you? What was that process of research? Because research is the key thing, right? A lot of people want to do research, but they don't know where to start, or if someone would talk to them, what would be your approach?
Women that found me on Instagram, and we started building a connection through Instagram DMs. Like, we probably chatted for a few months before I picked up the phone and said that, hey, do you want to talk? So it was all through Instagram.
And this was while you were sharing your content and they resonated and they reached out. So
Yes.
one thing you mentioned very interesting was, so Immigrant Academy is not just about job seeking, but lot more about immigrant life. Like, is that your differentiator? What is your differentiator at the Immigrant Academy?
I would say that's a differentiator, right? Because this is not just a career coaching place or a job seeker mentoring place. Yes, it is one of our key services right now, but we are also constantly evolving and changing with the way our audience's needs are changing. It's interesting because I'm currently at that turning point where you will see some more changes that happen with the Immigrant Academy. I can't speak for certain what that's going to be because I am in my research phase right now. There's a lot more awareness right now. I think all the hard work that has been going on for the last few years of building awareness in the immigrant community is bearing its fruits, and now there are different needs. There's a different format in which people want to consume content. There's a way in which they want to learn new things, and I am currently at the phase of discovering that and trying to meet them where they want to be, and that is my differentiator. I'm not just known for one subject, which is on landing a job. In addition to that, I want to talk about a lot other topics like I shared: confidence building, great communication skills, how to build a solid network, how to form friends, starting a family, starting investments, financial freedom.
That touches an immigrant life.
Yeah, this is basically like each and every stage of an immigrant's life, right? And like I said, the knowledge or the information that's passed down to us, earlier there was a lack of information. Now there's overload of information, and you don't know where to go, who to hear, and what to apply.
You put that very well, from lack of information to overload of information. And again, people need help, right? Organizing that, channeling that information. One thing I found in my research was you recently launched, I don't know if it's how recent, but you recently launched a Mentorship 3.0 program. Is that right? What is that about? Like, what does it cover?
So I think there are two things here. One is there was a revamp of our signature program, which is called Ready, Set, Roll. This is a 6-week mentoring program for job seekers to prepare them to enter corporate America. It includes everything from understanding your role to mastering your interviews. And the second thing which you were mentioning is about a mentoring match or a mentoring platform. So this is a place where we invite 9 to 5 professionals who wish to spend a couple of hours every month mentoring job seekers who are looking for help with two distinct issues. One is, hey, I am new to the States, or hey, I am a job seeker. I don't know what role to apply for. This is my education, this is what I did, but I'm confused. I don't know what roles apply to me. So that is situation one. And situation two would be, I know the role, I started applying, I started getting interviews, but I need help with interview feedback. Right? That's something that is it's a missing piece for a lot of people, where they're like, I give interviews, I don't get selected, I don't know the reason why, and I want to speak to someone from my field who can give me feedback and tell me where I'm going wrong so that I can do better. So these are two cases where if somebody comes to us and tells us that, hey, match us with a mentor, we do that, and then they get on a call and there's a mentoring fee involved for that particular call. What we're trying to do here is we are bridging the gap of finding a mentor and getting advice and feedback from them. So we're doing that work for you, where we have a pool of mentors and we do the work of matching you with them, letting you get their advice.
I think that's a good space, because I personally keep thinking there are certain areas where I need mentorship. I'm like, who do I talk to? Because I can't talk to people who are not doing this, and I don't know people who are doing this. Or even if I know them virtually. I don't have, like, never connected with them. But it's still both focused on career aspect of immigrant life, right?
Yes. In fact, all the existing services that you see on the Immigrant Academy today is all focused to the job seeker community. And what I was talking to you earlier about is all these different topics that we have and we want to cover. We are currently in the phase where we're discovering and finding out what is the right way to share this information. And I think over time you will see that we have a few more products or services added to cater to the different stages of an immigrant's life.
And what kind of professions do your clients come to you?
Honestly, it's a mix. I have a 50-50 mix of people who are coming in core tech roles. So I have developers, QA, business analyst, data scientists, and then the other 50% are marketing professionals, HR, finance, supply chain, environmental science, admin, teaching, all kinds of other professions. So it's a hearty mix of both. But I think another differentiator that I found was people in non-tech roles are much more comfortable and much more confident coming and learning from the Immigrant Academy, because they see me, they see my story, and they relate to me a lot more as compared to the tech folks. And their challenges are almost the same, but for some, it's the challenge of getting that assurance or getting to see that vision they have turn into a reality. And I think that relatability factor helps a lot for them to find me and work with me.
You had an altogether different experience, and that's why this thing was born, right? The Immigrant Academy. What were some cultural shocks you faced, or what were some experiences you faced in your job search?
The first thing that really bothered me was people who don't know me smile and wave at you, or like smile and greet you, and that was very freaky for a girl who's lived in a big city her whole life, where people literally like ignore you and don't acknowledge your presence. And I'm in Florida and people are super friendly, and they're smiling, they're waving, they're saying, hey, how's it going? And before I answer, they're gone, right? It was a big shock for me. I'm like, why are people doing this? And on the other side, if they see a brown person anywhere, they won't even make eye contact with you and they'll just walk away. And I'm like, that is really strange that people who don't like that was one of the biggest cultural shocks for me. The second shocking thing was, I thought I speak good English, but a lot of times people had asked me to repeat myself, and I had to ask people to repeat themselves because there was so much, miscommunication, like lost in translation. That's when I realized that American vocabulary is very different from the UK English that we were, raised with. That topic certainly gave me the idea to come up with my first free resource, which is no longer a free resource. It was offered as a free resource for 2 years. It's called the Ultimate American Vocabulary Cheat Sheet, and it is available on our website and also on our blog. But the reason why I created that, I started creating this because I was like, wait, there are all these words that we use from UK English, and then there are all these words that's used in American English. And when we don't do that, there is so much miscommunication that happens. So that was a very interesting thing that came out of my cultural shock experience. Another thing that I remember is from the workplace. The workplace in the US is a lot more collaborative and there's team effort. And I'm not saying these words just for the sake of saying it, but having worked in India and now in the US, I see there's a stark difference because in India, even though you're a part of the team, there's no teamwork happening. You are by yourself on your own when you have to do your work. Whereas in the States, you are literally a part of a group project and you're all working together. And that was very refreshing to me. The toxic competition that I went through in India is not a thing in the US. And I was very glad to see that teams actually work like teams and people really want the best for you and there are no ulterior motives. So which was just great. Like, wow, this is something that I need to apply to all my roles from here on. Yeah.
And you have, like you said, 250 applications, big journey from 9 to 5, plus now also running Immigrant Academy, mentoring so many people, coaching so many people. Have you faced any biases or have you heard of any biases that usually South Asians come across in US?
I think one of the first biases that I came across was we don't need Indian people in marketing.
What? Seriously?
That's a line that I heard.
While you were interviewing?
Oh no. This bias comes from our community. I haven't heard this from an employer, but I've heard this from people of our community where, immediately when you go and you're like, oh, are you in tech? That's the first question that comes up, right? And when I tell them that, no, I'm actually looking for a job in marketing, they're like, really? We have enough Americans here in marketing. I don't think that's what people expect of you. And I know this bias came from within the community, but it was a bias which is kind of very deep set in our community. And it kind of made me think like, really? I think we're really stereotyping people here. So biases or not, I think what's important to remember is we all have something unique to offer. And, we should just continue to believing that we can and we should. Just because it didn't work out for one person doesn't mean it won't work out for you. And that's something I teach my mentees because mindset is a very big part that plays when no matter, a job seeker or not, in every stage of your life, it's something that you need. And you need to surround yourself with people who are able to give you the right advice and who don't sway.
I was going to ask you for tips, but you already shared that. But one, I want to go a little deeper on that, One was like, what are some tips for integrating with US culture as an immigrant?
Number one tip, don't hang out with people only from your community. In the start, I understand it's your comfort zone. You want to be with people who, remind you of home and make you feel like, you're in a safe, secure place. But the sooner you start interacting with people from other communities, the sooner you start making friends with people from other communities, it broadens your horizons, your knowledge, and your experience with things. And you want to hear different point of views. So that is my number one tip.
How do you do that if you are not in a job yet, where you're not meeting someone through your workplace?
Second would be people you meet at a gym, any place that you go to outside of your home. It could be your kids, friends, parents, that you find them at daycare or at their school. It could be your spouse's co-workers. That could be an area where you get to meet. And you could also randomly go to any kind of meetups or some kind of hobby groups where you are bound to meet people from other communities. It won't happen if you are expecting for things to happen. You have to make an effort. You have to find them or find places where you think people will hang out and go there. And you have to start that conversation.
I intervened in between, but you were talking about integrating with the culture here.
So my first point is going and interacting with people outside of your communities. My second tip would be to learn to drive. I know it's not a very big deal, but learning to drive actually lowers inhibitions for you to say no to things. If you drive somewhere, there is a greater possibility that you will bump into someone, talk to someone, a plan could be made and you can go and meet that person. You are no longer dependent on anyone or anything. Once I started driving is when I started making friends, which is so silly. Now I can go somewhere and I can take my time to do things, and sometimes you just happen to meet people at places where you don't expect to meet. So yeah, my second tip would be like learn to drive or use public transport and just go explore your city, go to your neighborhoods. My third tip would be once you learn to drive, start volunteering. Go volunteer for a non-profit. It could be for a cause, it could be for a... But volunteering helps you interact with the locals, and again, that also helps you build your confidence, your communication, and you're building new network.
Let's say you're a job seeker. Should there be a strategic angle to volunteering?
If you're not a job seeker, it doesn't have to be strategic. You can literally go to any place and volunteer your time. If you are a job seeker, I would propose looking at skill-based volunteering. Skill-based volunteering means if you are a project manager, look for volunteering opportunities where you can do some kind of project management work for them. And the experience that you get is something that you are able to add to your US work experience. You are able to share this with during your interviews. Helps you build your confidence in terms of I understand what it's like to work here in the States with Americans, and it gives you a greater understanding of how things work here, and you're much more prepared.
One of the reasons I started this podcast, or when I'm thinking of starting a side hustle of my own, was I am very sure that AI is going to disrupt a lot of jobs, even the white collar jobs, right? Like even more so than blue collar jobs initially, at least. So do you have the same feeling? How do you stay on top of it? How do you upskill? How do you avoid that? Are there any things you're thinking already?
My mind is not churning ideas on how can I use AI for business yet. But the way I am thinking of AI is the sooner you start learning about AI and embracing the AI tools out there, the less scary it's going to seem to you. A lot of times the fear is based because of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, and also for resistance to learn something new, right? For me, I'm always someone who likes to test things. So yes, I've played with ChatGPT, looked at other AI resources out there. In my personal opinion, AI can replace a lot of jobs, but what can help you stand out is if you know how to use the AI tools in your job. And the person who knows how to do that will either sustain or go ahead. And the ones who don't are the ones who'll either be transitioning to some other jobs. I think the sooner we all accept that AI can be used as a tool to help us and our jobs, it helps you to save your time and effort at the risk of not hampering your creativity. And this goes out to all the people in marketing or in creative or writing jobs out there. Please don't let AI write for you, because I think all the AI tools have a similar way of spitting out words and it just doesn't sound humanly. So at the risk of losing your creativity, use AI for when needed. Don't let it hamper your creativity or make you feel like I don't need to write anymore.
Yeah, and that part is so true, because literally whenever I use ChatGPT or any AI tool, one of the things I ask it to do is talk in human language, because it talks in such perfect machine language. You can see that it's AI generated. Use normal words that we understand. What do you bucket as old job search strategies versus new job search strategies? What is something that's now old which still a lot of people do?
Applying online without any strategy behind it. Like I see 5 jobs available today, I'm going to apply to all 5. It doesn't matter where it is, what the company does, if I fit into that position or not, I'm just going to apply. Quantity and the new strategy is quality. So even if you apply for 3 jobs, make sure it is a company, an industry, a job that you really want, that you think you'll do really well, and you are really taking those extra steps to get in front of the hiring manager, as opposed to like applying for 20 jobs with automated autofill and you don't hear back from anyone.
Everyone is doing that, right? So focusing on your business part, right? What are your goals now as an entrepreneur for the Immigrant Academy, mission-wise and business-wise, maybe earnings and stuff like that?
So like I said, we are at a point in our journey where things could look different a few months from now. I don't have a solid answer in terms of what my ultimate goal is. But like I said, we want to be that platform where you come for educational resources, maps, and road models to support you in every stage of your immigrant journey. And that's how I see this to map out. Now, how it'll happen, what are the formats, and in which ways this is going to be offered, all that is something that will roll out in the next few months as I go through my discovery phase.
Personally and professionally, what change do you see from when you came here as an immigrant to now?
It's been a roller coaster ride for sure. I don't think you would want to speak to the Anjali who was underconfident and had no idea what's going to happen to her life versus now where I've overcome several challenges navigating the different markets and the different scenarios out there. I'm proud to see the grit and the drive that I've built over time. Although it started with solving that one pain point, it has evolved to being a holistic platform and really differentiating as a platform that is there for the community and is built on the need of the community. It was not a business that was started for monetization to begin with. It was started to solve a problem for a very niche community that was overlooked, right? And that's where I still stand. You'll never find me saying that I made X number of dollars or my students have made X amount of money. My numbers are all about impact. What is the impact that we are making and how many lives have we impacted? How many people have learned from us? How many people were able to take a chance on themselves, right? These are my metrics, my KPIs that I use. It makes me feel happy that something that I was able to start, there are a lot more immigrant entrepreneurs, immigrant creators, influencers out there who are all speaking on similar topics and really amplifying the voice out there. So I'm happy to see that there's a lot more awareness on these subjects and people are willing to learn, people are willing to pay, people are willing to invest their time, and that shows growth overall in our community.
And last question, you have sort of risen above the noise. What has helped you in this entrepreneurship and influencer journey to rise above that noise? Because now there are a lot more people in this space too, right, since you started.
I want to say that I've stayed true to who I am and what we do at the Immigrant Academy. At no point there's no right or wrong path to this, but the KPIs and metrics I was looking at was not associated with a 6-figure, 7-figure value. For me, it was, what issues are we solving and how many people are we able to reach? So I have stayed true to myself with my authentic voice. I still chat with people by myself. There's very little automation you will see in what we do at the Immigrant Academy because I like to stay close to my audience, my customers, and really talk to them. You will also see that I don't do things for the sake of doing. I don't do things that affect my health or my family's peace. You may not see me as frequently as you see others. You may not see me hopping on trends as frequently as others, but I am very much there. I'm very much staying a part of the community, and I am helping people out every day. And I think that shows for people who are currently shopping or trying to like be like, who do I work with? Whose services do I get? I think people are smart enough to analyze and understand who will they get along with, and who do they trust more. And that's what I focus on. I focus on quality, I focus on trust, and I focus on community building. And that's why I said my methods may make my growth slower, but it also makes me happier, and I go to sleep peacefully knowing that.
Yeah, so you know yourself and your strengths very well, and you're just leveraging all of that. Great talking to you, Anjali. Thank you so much for your
In conclusion, yes, that is true.
thank you so much for your insights and sharing all that knowledge.
I enjoy talking to you as well, and I hope the listeners are able to take notes, or hope the tips and the advice worked. And if you were curious, or if you think the Immigrant Academy could be helpful for your friends or family, I'm happy to chat with you. I'm available on Instagram, or go ahead and check out the Immigrant Academy.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Hustlers podcast. If you enjoyed knowing Anjali's journey and insights, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Share with me what kind of guests you would like to see next by commenting wherever you're listening, or reach out to me. I will share the details in the description. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories. See you next time.